YouTube, it's Rain here, and I'm going to be going over some lands, and then I'm going to be having a discussion on what I'm going to pick for the pre-release, all the colors and their strength in the limited format overall, and some things you can consider with each clan, whichever you choose to pick for the pre-release. So there's a lot of fixing, and all you need to know is you're going to want to play a good amount of it. The fact that some of these come into play tapped isn't actually very relevant. All it's going to do is slow the format down, despite the fact that a lot of mid-rangey sort of 4 and 5 drop creatures are very powerful. They won't be coming down till like turns 5 or 6, a turn later, due to a lot of the lands coming into play tapped. Past that, things you should note, these fetch lands, the cycle of fetch lands, I wouldn't play in most decks a fetch land if I was just playing one color. For instance, with Bloodstained Mire, if I was just playing black and I wasn't playing red, I wouldn't play Bloodstained Mire in my deck. Simply because there's a lot of ways to use mana in the deck. So this sort of filtering ability becomes less powerful in a format where you can end up using 6 to like 15 mana. I know that's a little ridiculous, but you can use a lot of mana in this format with the morph mechanic, with hard casting delve cards, with outlast, with all these creature abilities that cost mana, and your deck's going to have something to do when it hits 10 mana. So there's no real bad side to getting at least a little flooded in this format. So you're going to be able to use the lands. That said, you can still do it. I know a lot of people who will disagree with me and say that if you're just playing black, you get a Bloodstained Mire, you play the Bloodstained Mire just to filter out a land from your deck. And if you end up getting the extra mana, you can use it, but you don't have to use it. I could see either argument being right. I'm just not the biggest fan. I think it's okay. Other than that, getting into what guild I will be playing at the pre-release, I will be playing Abzan. That's the white, black, green guild. And I'm doing this for a few reasons. The first reason, white has a lot of removal. Just going to scroll down real quick. You have a very good combat trick at common. You have kill shot at common. You have smite the monstrous at common, suspension field at uncommon. So white has a good amount of removal in this set. Also, going into black, black always has a good amount of removal. They have dead drop, which will be better in sealed, where you can afford to play the high mana cost more. Debilitating injury to hold off the early game. Scroll down here, Murderous Cut, fantastic card. Rite of the Serpent, common, expensive, but it's removal. Ruthless Ripper's removal, so they have a lot of removal as well. Throttle is okay in pre-release especially. And green doesn't have a lot of removal, but they have more than they usually do. They have Air of the Wilds, which is kind of removal. Where's the notable one? Savage Punch, Punching the Bears. 2 mana for removal at common for green is fantastic. This is one of the big reasons I'm happy playing green. So you're not going to be short on removal in green, white, black. In addition, sealed formats are always slower than draft formats, and the Outlast mechanic plays right into that. So assuming that all the abilities were of equal power level, Outlast is the one that naturally gets strongest over time, since with Outlast, your creatures will all become threats, regardless of rarity. They'll all become have to remove sorts of threats as soon as they get up to 5, 6 power. So that's going to be enforced through the pre-release sort of sealed format. Outlast is going to get even better, and it was already probably the best or tied for the best mechanic in the format. The mechanics being Outlast, Prowess, Delve, and ferocious. Um, yeah, the next most powerful ability mechanic in this format is prowess. Prowess is a great ability. They set it up really well in this format. There are a lot of great spells and a lot of great ways for creatures to surprisingly win combat at and getting you card advantage very easily and allowing you to make blocks really hard. Blocking this guy, for instance, very hard. Um, let's find another one. Blocking this guy is very hard, but like even blocking this guy. So you're gonna get in a lot of damage or end up blowing people out with this mechanic, and it's very supported through a bunch of tempo plays, a bunch of really good combat tricks that also draw you cards. Even that one's tempo, but it's very good. Um, so it's going to make for some actually good aggressive decks in this format. So in my opinion, the blue, red, white decks are going to be the best aggressive decks. Red and white have a lot of removal. Blue has a lot of really good tempo plays, like one on your screen right here. And prowess is a great mechanic, and red and blue are the two most aggressive colors. Um, Next mechanic on the scale of things, I would say, has got to be ferocious. Ferocious is an interesting mechanic. Um, it actually combos with prowess really well. So if you have a 3-power prowess guy, and then you play a card that has ferocious on it, like this is a bad example because it's a bad card, but we're just saying for the purposes. It's a non-creature card, it'll bump your prowess guy, and then since your prowess guy hit 4 power, you get the ferocious. Past that, there are so many 4/4s in this format and just 4-power guys that are really good to play. Um, and with Outlast, it can help you enable that ferocious as well with all of your creatures. So that's a pretty good mechanic. It's not quite as format defining as Prowess and Outlast, but it's very good. Last but least, honestly, is Delve. It's a good ability. The problems with Delve are in the fact that if you print a card that's able to be played without the Delve for its mana cost and give it Delve, it becomes ridiculous. There's only one example of that in this format below rare, and that would be Murderous Cut. But most of the Delve cards are overcosted by about 3 mana, maybe even 4, maybe 2, depending on the card. So if you have a deck full of those, they're going to get worse and worse for each extra one you play. Delve is a mechanic that if you get the right hand of 7 cards, you are absolutely unbeatable because you'll play your Delve enabler and then you'll play your Delve guy on turn 3 that should be coming out on turn 6. So that can lead to some surprise win situations, but the problem is the consistency of the ability. I do think that given the amount of decent Delve cards there are, that people will be able to play 1 or 2 Delve cards in their deck without paying a very high cost if the format is slow. But as it stands, the format just can't support a Delve deck, and I don't think any format really will. This might be the closest we get. Um, Other reasons I'm going to be playing Abzan at the pre-release. We go into splash cards. So you can splash blue and red. Icy Blast, if I pull an Icy Blast, I'll be very happy to splash this card. It's one of the most powerful splash cards in the format. Go into red. Another one of the most powerful splash cards in the format is Crater's Claws. So those are 2 rares where if I pull them, I can actually look to play them even though they're not in my 3 base colors because they're very splashable. One other notable splashable card in this format is Sagu Mauler right here. It's not dead if you don't have the blue, and if you do have the blue, it's a very, very good creature. So if I pull this, I can potentially play this as well, depending on how my land fixing looks, but these are cards that you have to consider. More than that, there's all the Outlast things that give you a universal effect, like lifelink, flying, reach, first strike, death touch, where you can get these sorts of synergies going on, be able to play some smaller Outlast guys simply because you'll be able to give them strong abilities, and your deck will begin to actually look like a constructed deck. So in the end, I do think that Abzan beats out the other clans. By no means does it mean that an Abzan deck will get first place. It just means that it's probably the best choice to make. If you want to play an aggressive deck, you're going to be playing blue, white, red, the Jeskai clan, as probably the best way to do that. Between prowess, just being a good mechanic, the multicolor cards, you have the best finisher in the format in the form of Flying Crane technique. It's just great. You can win a lot of games pretty quickly with the Jeskai clan. Though given that it's sealed, I don't think it'll be as powerful as it will be in draft. My next pick for top 4 would be in line with the power of the abilities, and that would be the Timur clan, and lastly would be the Sultai clan, simply because your pool's going to be very unsupportive. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. You can comment below on what your speculations will be for the pre-release and what you're going to play. And have a great day. Thanks for